Hello friends, it's Pam here. Happy Mother's Day. Today is Mother's Day and I just felt inspired to do a short video talking about mothers and Mother's Day, and it might seem kind of a trite thing to do, but for whatever reason, I guess I'm trying to unpack the reasons. I find Mother's Day and Father's Days and all these Hallmark days, I call them, I find them really frustrating. And I think a lot of it has to do with expectation. It's about, am I supposed to just relax as a mom and enjoy this day? Am I supposed to do what I want to do, or am I supposed to do what my family wants to do? Should I spend the day with my mom? Should I remind my husband to call his mom? Of course I should, and I do. But he's actually really good at remembering. What about my daughter? If she had kids, would the day be about her? And so I think for me, because maybe I struggle to juggle a lot of different expectations, I just find it stressful, I guess. And it's terrible because I should just be enjoying that it's Mother's Day and I am a mom, and that's such a blessing. It is the most wonderful thing in my life. So I wish I could have a better time on Mother's Day. I wish I could hold it. Maybe I need to hold it more loosely. And I don't get frustrated because of my expectations. I just find it hard to know whose expectations to meet. Does that make sense? So anyway, I was just sitting out here on my porch, and I've got my flowers here because that's what I'm going to do for Mother's Day for myself, is these little flowers that I bought yesterday at the greenhouse. I'm going to put in some little pots, and so they could be by the door and kind of make the front entryway look a little prettier. But the leaves are coming out on the trees, and I love that. It's springtime in Alberta. Finally, in May, it's springtime here. So I'm looking out at little leaves budding out, and the grass is greening up, and the birds are singing everywhere. Mother's Day. And it gets complicated for people who maybe they're estranged from their mom, or maybe they really miss their mom. Maybe your mom has passed away, and it's kind of painful because you want to remember your mom, but then you also remember that she's not there. And what do you do? What do you do to celebrate Mother's Day? I know I'm making it way more complicated than it needs to be. And I think, the best thing to do on Mother's Day would be to go to some pretty little tea house with your mom and just tell her how much you love her. I think calling your mom and just saying, thank you for being my mom. And sometimes we don't have to figure out all the stuff from the past. And sometimes our parents, they don't have the vocabulary, they don't have the words to understand all the nuances of the psychology and the relationships, and words like enabling, and words like trauma, and words like narcissism, all those kind of handles that a lot of us have now to sort of try and make sense of our past. And the reality is that a lot of times our parents are just surviving, and no one taught them how to be parents either. I know there are really glaring things that happen that no one should have to go through. Glaring inconsistencies, favoritism, lots of pain in relationships that are designed to be close. and special and caring. Those are the relationships that usually carry the most pain because they carry the most potential, right? Got my neighbor driving away. So it's kind of a hot button topic, I guess. There's a lot of triggers involved, especially for moms and in our relationships with our moms. But I think if we focus on what we can redeem from that relationship, if it's been a hard one, or just be grateful for what we have and try and move on with the relationship. Not to say that we shouldn't try and have those hard conversations. Sometimes all of this relationship fraughtness, I think, can be avoided with just one candid conversation, one tough conversation. I read a book recently called Fierce Conversations, and I forget who the Dr. Susan something, but it was a really good book about having those fierce conversations in your work life, in your family life, with your friends. And it was about saying the things that really need to be said and how it can totally advance the relationship. It can completely change the other person's life. It can change your life. And that's one thing that I know I'm always scared to do. I'm scared of conflict a lot of times, so I'll often avoid tough conversations. But I've gotten braver in some ways as I've gotten older, and I've realized that just saying what you need to say, being as kind as you can be, but saying the tough things can open the door to a better relationship and to more conversations and just a closeness that's not kind of a surface level relationship, but really goes deeper. It's a tough thing to talk about because every single person out there has a different relationship with their mom, a different backstory, and so you can't speak to everything. I can't speak to everything, but I think in general, I just wanted to say, hey, I struggle with Mother's Day, and I'm trying not to. I'm trying to just see it as a blessing and hold it lightly and think about the beautiful person that my mother is. Think of the sacrifices that have been made by so many mothers over so many hundreds, thousands of years. And all of those are often unseen. And we don't even really know about a lot of them. But when you become a mom, then you suddenly know about sleepless nights, you know about going to birthday parties and buying presents and making sure the kids get to all the things they want to get to, and sitting up late listening to teenagers talk when you're desperate for sleep, or making food, making meal upon meal upon meal. And you think about all those things when you become a mom, and you realize there's a lot of my story with my mom that I don't remember. And sometimes when we're grown up, 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s, we think about our relationship with our mom, and we start realizing things that might be really hard. We realize sometimes that maybe things weren't as good as we thought they were. Or we start to find ways to put words to things that happened. We find words like boundaries. We find words like dysfunction. And I think when we dwell on that a lot, that can create walls, it can create estrangement, it can create a difficult situation where you don't have anything left to say or anything else you want to say. But life is short, and our relationships with our parents are, yes, tough, but I think there's more to it that we can redeem than maybe we once thought. And if you have a wonderful relationship with your mom, then I love that. And I do have a good relationship with my mom these days. When I was a teenager, not so much. In my 20s, it was a bit tough too. In my 30s, there were some tough times. So anyway, happy Mother's Day. And if it's a day that brings up pain for you, then I pray that you know the comfort that only God can give. And if it's a day where you're celebrating, then that's awesome. And if you're just kind of sitting with some pain around Mother's Day, then just know that we see you. I see that. I can believe that, and I understand that it can be really hard. So, but if you have it in you to cross that bridge, even though there's a lot of arguments for the fact that your mom should be the one to extend that hand, to make that first call, and to cross that bridge. If you have it in you, if you have the strength and the courage to take that first step, then I just want to encourage you to do that. And if your mom isn't here anymore, maybe you can just take a moment and just remember her. Look at some photos and just say thank you. Thank you for being my mom. Okay, well, I'm going to put my flowers in pots and listen to the birds and just enjoy this beautiful day, this beautiful Mother's Day. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.